And when I started unpacking it, I started to realize how much that single event really affected my life, affected my sex life in marriage, affected my mental and emotional state, affected almost every aspect that I didn't even know that it was affecting.
Hey y'all, welcome back to Crystal Vision Therapy. Of course, I'm your host, Zisha Robinson. And thank you for watching and joining me today. All right, y'all. So, unless you guys been under a rock, I'm sure y'all have seen DaNaia Jackson's interview or seen clips of it. And DaNaia Jackson, let me just recap a little bit, is the wife to Derek Jackson, who is like this, I guess, relationship coach guru. And kind of his claim to fame was basically telling women what to look for in a guy, what not to settle for, and kind of, I guess he was the gateway into a male psyche and giving us insight. So that's what his wealth is on. That's what we knew him as. And then, of course, the story that blew up a couple years ago was that he was cheating, right? So that came out, and that was a blockbuster because it was like, wait, you're supposed to be this guy. You're supposed to be different, right? I think that was a narrative that I was seeing. You're supposed to be better. Um, and then it comes out he's cheating. She takes him back. They said they're working through things, and he comes out with a book about them working through things. And now it comes out that he's filing for divorce and he wants a divorce from her. So that is kind of the long and the short of it. I think why this story is so unique, coupled with the fact that, he's supposed to be better, right? This is his area of expertise. He's not supposed to be this person, right, that he's telling women to watch out for, right? And maybe that's why he was able to really connect and let us know, maybe because he was this person, right, that you're supposed to watch out for. But what's interesting about this story is I think that deep down people felt like, and it was also in the comments, that DaNaia should not have had a chance with him, right? And I think it's so interesting because that's also how she feels, and that's what has led us to some of the things that went on in this in her life. Um, what I will say is I am immensely proud of her. What a personality. We did not get to see her personality. She looked, the first peek glance that we got of her. I remember she had on like a hat, like a Scully, she was on the couch, she was kind of nodding along. We didn't really get to see kind of who she was. And the second time I think we saw her, she was, you know, using the Bible to wish, all types of all types of things on people who had anything negative to say about her marriage. So there was also that, is she well mentally? That conversation I think going on as well. So to see her telling jokes, laughing, it's nice to see the humanity, and see that, listen, she's a person, right? She's a person. I labeled this video, kind of the journey to healing, because there are certain things that you look for when you see that someone's trying to heal or healing. Vulnerability, which she has so much of it. Some of the things that she admits to feeling in are things people would never, ever, ever, right, share with anyone else, let alone the world. Accountability. Oh my God, there are moments in this video where she's like, I was a willing participant, right? Understanding what her role is in the situation. And that's how you know it's probably never going to happen again, or not to this degree that has happened. And transparency, right? I think she put it out there. Like, what do you want to know? And I'll tell you. The host of the Dare Future Wifey podcast said it was supposed to be like a 1 hour thing. She sat down, she was just so honest, turned into 2 parts. To truly the pillars of healing. You can tell there's a lot more work to be done. So I do hope that she's keeping up her therapy, but truly, truly, truly a good effort. And we do see that she's on her way. So just a little bit of background on DaNaia. Prior to meeting Derek, she was born to two teenage parents. Her father died when she was 12. She fully admits to having abandonment issues. She remembers kind of dressing like a boy to kind of get that acceptance from her brothers. She grew up in an all-white neighborhood, mentioned feeling rejected, right? Because, no one really looked like her, and that was difficult for her. So all throughout the early years of her life, she talks about these themes of abandonment. When abandonment happens to a child, they think it's their fault. There's something that I'm not doing right, which is why you're not staying. Boom, she goes to college and she's raped at 19, right? By someone who she was dating. And fully mentions that she has not processed anything. She didn't process any of that. 3 weeks later, she meets Derek. 3 weeks later, she meets Derek. So this is kind of how we're already not doing great mentally, right? You're not processing this trauma. It's going to affect you in relationships and probably almost everything that you want to do. You haven't quite figured out your value in this world. You're trying to figure out if you have value, right? Because your value is predicated on, do people see my value, right? You meet Derek. The perfect storm, right? For someone like him. Apparently they were in class together and he asked her to tutor her. He asked her to tutor him. And, she said yes. And kind of like they had a connection, talking every day and she was excited and it was great. The one part of the interview that I didn't quite like was the interviewer asked, well, what do you think he saw in you? And here DaNaia is, she is this straight A, super, super smart, super talented, communicates well, beautiful girl. And the question was, well, what did, he see in you? And Derek was just a jock. He was on the football team. He had nice skin, I think, a nice complexion, I think she mentioned. And um, it was definitely that part of the movie. I was like, oh, cringe for me, just because you could tell she viewed herself as the ugly duckling. Like, this is not supposed to happen to me. This moment, this is my luck. Maybe this one time things are gonna go well for me and right for me. I think the most interesting part of this story is I think for people is that she never truly had a level of commitment, right? Like, he was cheating when they were dating. She actively would participate in, understanding that he was with other women but still be with him, not even tell him that she knew that he was with other women. And she would just cry and she just felt like she had to hold on, right? And these are the things that she had to deal with, right? Someone completely devoid and absent of self-love. And Derek, I know that people are saying, he's, the worst thing, and he probably is, right? He's probably not the best person in the world, but, I don't even want to give him that much credit. This is somebody who was broken when he met her. And he added to it. He certainly didn't make it better. And she never truly had commitment. And so I think it definitely, and I see this all the time where people are married, but they're not committed to one another. So let's kind of transition to some of the parts that really stood out.
Atlanta. I had my own little space. Anyway, we were still engaging sexually, even though we were off, right? And so it was in this time where there was a lineup of us. We was passing each other on the stairway in and out. No, y'all wasn't. No, y'all was you think this is a game. You were not passing each other on the stairway. No, y'all was. We were passing each other on the stairway. Like, this is my shift from this time to this time. So, I was a willing participant in that. And this is like, I can laugh about it now, but it's really sad, to like, what space do you have to be in to accept that? And
This is a little bit jarring, I think, because, you know, typically what happens when someone cheats or is unfaithful, or they're doing it in the dark, right? And you kind of can claim, oh, I didn't know, right? Even if you had an inkling, you didn't really know. She's literally like, we're passing each other, we're not together, but I'm still a willing participant. And I think this is why she talks about being a willing participant so much, because she realizes that there are moments they definitely were not together, but she still kept up a relationship with him. And I know everyone's question was why? Why did she do this, right? Aside from this, the lack of value, aside from this, the lack of self-esteem is completely bottomed out. She says why, and let's watch that.
And it felt great. I was all on board with it. I was excited. He called my mom.
You called your mama.
What?
Humility.
Right. And so that's how that happened. And so all of our family came in, and we were celebrating this housewarming because we just moved into this new house. So the plot was, oh, we're celebrating the housewarming, but everybody else knew, hey, engagement. But little I knew too. And so he had the song play, and it was like right before midnight, and it came on, and he gets down on one knee, and he's like proposing to me, and I'm
It was
Waterworks.
all this pain I went through.
Yes,
It was
it's paying off.
yeah, it's paying off. Weeping may endure for a night, but joy cometh in the morning. You
All the
thought that was
joy.
your morning.
All the joy. Do you
Yeah.
know the bragging that I did? Where I knew when they had met up. So I watched their videos of them having sex. So I would try to imitate that and recreate that in our relationships so that he could choose me and want me. And that is a low point to be. And I'm tearing up a little bit because I hate that I even got to a point where that was a thing. But that
So DaNaia wanted to be chosen. And that is no different than a lot of you, right? A lot of us, we all want to be chosen, right? She wants to be chosen out of a level of desperation, right? In the sense of no one has ever chosen me before in life. Will you be the one? Maybe if I put in this work, right? If I'm the last one standing, if I do the things that other women are doing, you will choose me and I'll win. And she literally says that. She thought she won. And I have to tell you something. This happens so much in therapy where someone is married, they come into session, it's individual, and maybe they, won, quote unquote. It was like someone else was involved and they feel like, oh, well, he chose me and he married me. And I can't help to think, I don't know if that choice, like, I don't know if you got anything. I don't know if you won anything. Like, that person might be okay. Maybe she found someone, maybe he or she found somebody that was a much better, that had better relationship skills, right? That was going to treat them better, because he wasn't treating DaNaia or any person that he was dating great, probably. Maybe the other women better because they know his situation and don't have any ties to him, right? They see him coming. You are home, take care of his children, take care of, the house, making sure that his legacy lives on. I don't know if that's a win. And that's something I wish that we would understand. The difference between winning and losing. Just because you were chosen doesn't mean you win. Chosen to do what? Chosen to be abused? Chosen to be a doormat? What were you chosen to do? That's important. That's an important question. Please go to therapy. Please go to therapy. I love the fact that she said she had about 3 at one point she was seeing, and then she picked one, and then this is someone who may need to be in therapy for an extended period of her life. The self-hatred is deep.
of his post was referencing that, even down to our daughter. Like I had I had some issues, like just like with the complexion of our daughter, because that was the type of woman that he would go after. And I'm not dark, like super dark skinned woman. And our daughter's like a little chocolate little princess. She has it, and I'm just like, how does she look like the women that he wants?
Wow, that's deep.
How does she look like the women that he wants and he desires and he loves? Like, like I don't understand. It's like they had her even though I carried her. You know what I'm saying? And so I
Hold
had
on,
to work at
you got to let that sit. You can't, Lord Jesus. You said they had her even though you had her?
they had her even though I carried her. That's what I felt like for a long time. I had to really sit down and
Because her skin tone represents the type of women that he would cheat on you with.
yes. Yes. And so there it just played on the rejection and the abandonment and the not like choose me. What is there about me? Right? Our daughter even has everything that you like search for or at least preference
Yeah.
in a woman.
When we talk about vulnerability, right? This is one of those moments that I felt was super, super, super rare in that how she feels about herself, how you feel about yourself can translate to your children, right? So she gives birth to her third child, and the daughter comes out dark skinned. And apparently, Derek's preference is dark skinned women. So she's like, I don't have dark. She's lighter. She's like, I don't have dark skin. Even you have the things that he wants. I don't even have that. You see, this is what he wants. And she even says in the clip that we just saw, she felt like it was going to affect the way that she mothered that child. We have to sit with that. How we feel about ourselves can affect the way that we parent our children. So imagine, right? Let's say she wasn't, they didn't get a divorce. She decided to stay. And this, chocolate princess, as she refers to her lovingly, is growing up and getting different treatment, right? Unbeknownst to her. And the only thing she will know is that she's dark skinned. This is common. This is common. It's similar to someone, sometimes I hear stories about, you remind me of the parent that left. You remind me of your dad. So I treat you poorly because I'm triggered by you. Your presence is triggering to me. The child did nothing to you. And now that child grows up with issues. So this is a part this probably was the most shocking for me that she admitted. This is normal, but that she admitted it. And I don't think it was in any of the clips that I've been seeing making its rounds. And I would wager that it was probably the most important thing that she talked about. Her, being in line, while he's with other women, her knowing someone else's body better than hers, that's kind of all falls under like, we know that she doesn't have the value, right? We know she doesn't value herself. So all of those things make sense. But to admit that, your daughter, right, who completely innocent, right, was born, and you have jealousy because of her skin tone, because she is the skin tone that he prefers. So I am glad she's getting therapy, and I'm glad that she understands how problematic that could be. This isn't a story about a wolf in sheep's clothing. This is not a story about someone, aka DaNaia Jackson, living a double life. That's not the story. This is someone who truly believes she wasn't worth a different experience. I don't even think it crossed her mind that she could be in a relationship, a healthy relationship, where she wasn't fighting, continuously fighting to be the last woman standing. So I say all that to say babies will not save a relationship, marriage won't either. Someone has to truly be committed to you and truly mean that from the bottom of their heart. I think Derek knew he could keep up his antics. So, y'all, those are the moments that really stuck out for me. I think you all should watch that interview. I think anyone who I think anyone can relate to it. There's parts to it that I think that anyone can relate to, if you've been in a similar situation. Um, I would say love yourself. You are absolutely worth the investment of therapy. Don't let anyone tell you different. Um, you absolutely should unpack your childhood and how it made you the person that you are today. I always ask that question. That's my favorite question. Like, what are the top 5 moments in your life that you feel like made you the person that you are today? And it's amazing what people say. And some of it is rooted in trauma. So start with that. And I can't say it enough. I'm in awe of her bravery to come on and do this and to be so transparent. She could have came on y'all and said, Derek is a horrible person. This is what he did to me. It didn't even sound, vengeful. It was just like, this is what happened. And I'm happy for her, and I wish her well as she continues this journey to heal. And I hope she finds happiness, whatever that may mean to her. Let me know what you thought about it. Those are just some of my thoughts, some of the things that stood out to me. All right, you guys have an amazing, amazing, amazing day. It's still Mental Health Awareness Day. We might be on the last day, but we're still gonna claim it. I love that this dropped during Mental Health. I love that this dropped during Mental Health Awareness Month. And yeah, y'all. Let me know what you think. Take care.